Welcome back. This is Normalized Breastfeeding Live. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is going to be a very interesting discussion that we have opened actually to the public, and we have a very special guest with us as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This week we're going to be talking about an incident that occurred with the very well-known company Medela. They make breast pumps and accessories for their breast pumps, and they support moms for breastfeeding worldwide. However, during Black Breastfeeding Week, which is August 25th through the 31st of every year, it's now been going for 4 years strong. During this week, they posted something onto social media regarding supporting Black Breastfeeding Week, and were in turn told by some of their followers who are not Black followers, basically told them, they basically told Medela that they were going to boycott their products if they supported Black Breastfeeding Week. So we're going to get into this really quickly. This is an open discussion topic, so we have opened up the Facebook event. It's hashtag #StepUpMedela. You can hashtag that with any post you want to post today. We've opened it up to where anyone can come on and join us. This is an open discussion. If you are not supporting Black Breastfeeding Week, though, we do ask you, if you're going to come on and you want to say something, that's fine, but please do not be disrespectful during this time. This is about supporting this particular movement. And so our special guest today is Kira Woods. She actually was the creator of the petition that pretty much went viral. It was supported by 1,800 plus followers in a matter of, I think, 3 or 4 days. And so she did so much to actually reach out and just get the word out about the fact that there was an incident that had occurred, and it was regarding, Black breastfeeding mothers. So she is actually 26 years old. She's a single marketing manager with a bachelor's of arts and communications. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk really quickly about Black Breastfeeding Week and what it's about. So the purpose of Black Breastfeeding Week is not to segregate. It is not to separate. It is not to create any type of issue between races during National Breastfeeding Month, which is the month of August. The purpose of Black Breastfeeding Week is that it's an awareness week. It's a week where we are talking about the statistics that among all of the cultural backgrounds in the United States, African American women have the lowest rates to initiate breastfeeding and the lowest rates to continue breastfeeding beyond 6 months. And so this week is actually about everyone coming together in solidarity to support the women who have the lowest rates in the country. This week is not about trying to say, we're Black and we're celebrating our Black breastfeeding and all of that. And I think that's what the misunderstanding has been for the last 4 years. And so it's created this kind of argument that happens every single year during Black Breastfeeding Week, where as soon as we say, hey, happy Black Breastfeeding Week, everyone wants to say, well, when's White Breastfeeding Week? And when are we going to have this other cultural week? And people need to understand that this is not the case. This is not why it's celebrated. It's celebrated to try and encourage the moms who have the lowest rates in the country of breastfeeding to continue breastfeeding and to continue to try to breastfeed or seek support to do so. So the truth of the matter is, and I don't know why there's so much anger around this topic. I think maybe there's not enough information going around as far as what it's about, but I feel like every year we are arguing the topic. So there is some information floating around, but it's like every year there's a new argument. So the truth of the matter is, if you don't support the efforts to increase rates among Black mothers, then you really don't support breastfeeding at all. And I have to say that with a lot of passion, because the truth of the matter is, you can't say that you support breastfeeding if you know that a mother is struggling for whatever the case may be. There's a long list of them that comes to sorry, I'm losing my words, that affect Black women that are having babies and Black women that are attempting to breastfeed. There's a long list of issues that keep us from breastfeeding. So you can't say that you fully support breastfeeding if you don't look across the street and see your neighbor or see a black woman who's breastfeeding and support her nonetheless, even if there's a time that it's dedicated to supporting her and her issues. And so with that being said, I want to introduce our special guest, Kira Woods. She actually, she's here with us live. I'm going to have you bring your video down a little bit because we can't fully see.
Sorry.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. So I just want to ask you, you know, how did this incident, like, tell me what exactly happened. I missed it. I was out of town.
Wow.
So tell me exactly what happened when you were dealing with it in real time.
Well, I guess you can say I added Medela breastfeeding products onto my Facebook page a while ago. My sister is actually a mother. I'm not a mother. I aspire to one day become a black woman who breastfeeds, a black breastfeeding woman extraordinaire, but it's just not the case for me right now. But with the situation that my sister was in, where she had a baby a little bit younger, I feel like I had to educate myself on a lot of the things because I was one of her people in her support system. So heading over to the Medela Facebook page, they actually posted a link from blackbreastfeedingweek.org that featured a picture of a black mother breastfeeding her son. And mostly the headline from Black Breastfeeding Week site popped up. They didn't create their own headline. It was basically a pull from another website that generated its own headline that spoke support for Black Breastfeeding Week and actually educating mothers on why we need this. And I guess that's when we saw like a bunch of women who are not of color jumping out because of the headline. They didn't even click the link to see that it was actually an educational segment of another site that Medela linked to. A lot of that actually sparked a huge argument within maybe the first 10, 15 minutes of Medela actually posting that on their page. And within the next 30, I was actually reaching out to a rep to figure out why the post was removed. I got the response that it was against their Facebook guidelines to keep something up that was, I guess, in their eyes, what I saw was argumentative, a topic that a lot of people didn't agree with. So they saw fit to remove it after a lot of people started to discuss the issue, some more passionate than others, but it was still discussion at the most, which is what I think is needed and what Medela actually backed down from at the time. I just want to make it totally clear that I am not bashing Medela at all. They actually stepped up to confront what they did. They admitted that they were wrong. It's something that they didn't know. Their Facebook page is actually only 2 years old. So it does come with a lot of training when handling anything on social media. With them actually being new to this, and they've only removed one other post before, and I think with having this experience, they will actually grow and learn from it. I just wish we could all continue to come together and discuss with more brands, keep the discussion live with Medela, and be as passionate about this movement with other brands that I'm seeing across the slate of brands that are supposed to be representing all moms.
Okay, great. So, I mean, it's good to have that kind of background and know that they have been apologetic, that they have been trying to rectify the situation. So, I see that on your petition. I'm going to share this really quick with everyone. 1 second. Pull this up. Okay. So, I see that they. Go back here. So I see that you claimed the victory. How many days in did you claim victory when you spoke with them? How long did it take for them to contact you?
About 3 days.
Okay. So in about 3 days, you got 1,800 plus followers. And tell me about why you claimed victory on this petition. What did they lead you to believe is going to happen now that you've garnished this support from so many followers?
Well, we actually had a discussion on what they have put in place already, as well as some things that they have to go through within their company. Speaking from a person who does work and has worked for bigger brands in the past, it's definitely a process to go through, and I understand that it can't immediately happen, but with
Right.
talks and things like an advisory board that is supposed to be put together soon, I feel like it's on its way there. We just have to, keep the pressure on them and let them know that we are still watching. This is definitely something that has to happen, and we have seen a bit of change within their Facebook recently. They recently posted imagery, actually, of a Black woman breastfeeding, as well as, I guess, some statistics behind, like, okay, we need to help encourage first-time moms to breastfeed. This is why. So we are seeing movement, but I would still like it to be a little bit faster in what they need to do. We've actually had another woman and I who were connected on Facebook. I don't know if she's here or not, but we reached out to Evenflow. They have a breastfeeding brand that has a page on Facebook. And once we had that conversation with them, they were immediately responsive. They immediately changed out imagery, but I'm also guessing that they've already had that imagery within stock. They just didn't post as much of it. So as soon
Okay.
as we spoke with them, they brought it forward facing to their page where we could see it top of page, and what I'm guessing from behind the scenes, pin the post to the top of their page where it always shows no matter what's posted. So yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, just really regarding that, there has been a mama who created a new blog. It's called What's Best for Kennedy. You can find her on Facebook. I'm trying to pull it up, but because we're on the Hangout, it's taking a little bit of time. But it's called What's Best for Kennedy, and she's actually doing a giveaway for an Evenflow pump. So if anybody's wanting to get in her giveaway, it's helping her to kind of create more following. She just started her page. It's brand new, so show her some love. Look up What's Best for Kennedy and on Facebook and follow her and find out about the giveaway. I definitely want to support, brands that are supporting us, and not that I don't want to support Medela. I mean, I am pumping with a Medela pump, so this is very close to home for me. This is, I've got my hand pump right here. I was ready to latch it on if I needed to, depending on the situation. But I mean, I have my hand pump. I have the Medela Lactina. I mean, everybody knows this big blue box. If you've been nursing and you need to really get your milk flow going, big blue box of Medela is going to get it done. And so I definitely want to support them in any way that I can. I've been using their products since 2007. So for me,
Wow.
it's, like I said, very close to home. It's something that I was like shocked, and I felt like I needed to say something. I needed to do something to show that, look, I have no problem with your company, but something needs to change. And so, and I think that stock photography is a good way to start, but it's going to take more than just pictures to
Exactly.
show that they are supportive of our community. I mean, what they really need to be doing is getting into our community and finding out what are the issues, and then creating content around those issues, specifically targeting African American women. Now, I know we are probably not their target market, because if you consider the marketing tools that they're using, obviously their target market is not women of color. But it doesn't mean that you can't create a specific marketing approach for the women who really need your products. The women who, I mean, we're getting Medela from WIC. WIC offers a Medela pump for the moms that are going back to work and want to continue breastfeeding. So if you consider the moms that are going to WIC, you're probably going to see more women of color. So it's kind of like it's to their benefit to support women of color. It's to their benefit to try and increase, Black breastfeeding rates. It's interesting. My husband, he's been supportive of breastfeeding from day one. He made the comment. He's like, if they really want to make a statement, they need to be, donating pumps to women in Africa that don't have these type of resources. Like they need to be doing doing things that are like above and beyond, not just like, okay, let's put up a Black post, or okay, let's create a blog post that has a Black woman on it when it's still like a universal post. Like they have to figure out a way to include us. But if they're choosing not to do so in a short period of time, they can really, really look forward to losing our clientele, losing our community as a backing for their company. And that may or may not break them, it may or may not hurt them, but it still makes a statement in the sense of like, what they're about. So thank you so much for taking the dedication and the time to create the petition, to follow through with it, to converse with them and find out, what are the things that they're planning to do moving forward. I'm definitely going to be keeping in touch with you in regards to, what you need to actually get done in the future with them, and letting me know. I want to head over to Sissy really quick. She's got to get clocked into work. I just want to give her a few minutes to just share. She's pumping. She's also, you can go ahead and mute yourself, Kira. Thank you so much. And if you need to go, I know you got to go to work too. Feel free to sign off now. That's fine. Thank you so much for participating.
No problem. I definitely want to hear what everyone has to say and still chime in with a few more things if I can. So
definitely.
I'm still in transit.
Okay, awesome. Great. So go ahead and mute yourself, Kira. Sissy, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to bring you up on the screen here and have you presenting to everyone. And thank you for, obviously keep your eyes on the road, but thank you for being with us, even though you're trying to head over to work. So,
I have an awesome mount for my phone, so it's out of my hands.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about your experience with the Medela products.
So I am a first-time mom, and I was very, very, very intent on breastfeeding. And one of the things that I asked people who had been successful with breastfeeding is what kind of pump, what kind of system should I get? And everyone said Medela. And so I have I have electric pump from Medela, and then I also have an even flow pump. And this being my first year as a breastfeeding mom, I was really excited about Black Breastfeeding Week. And I saw the support from a lot of places, and I saw the failure to support from a lot of places. And I was really disappointed by Medela's quickness to pull down the post, because it kind of sent a message that this is too controversial for us. We don't really care. And as a Black woman who breastfeeds, who used Medela, it felt really close to home. So I was really, really upset by it. But I was also proud by other groups who had decided to say, we will stand hand in hand with you guys and we will address these issues, and people who have small-mindedness about it, we will address them individually or block them, which is what something Medela could have done in the beginning with those.
We're losing your sound, but yes, I completely agree. They could have taken the initiative to, delete and block. This is something that I think in the breastfeeding community in general, we actually have come to a place now where it's like, if you're coming onto one of our support pages where we are, trying to give support to moms that are breastfeeding, and you're making, whether it be perverted comments or comments that are complete disdain of breastfeeding, like in my personal opinion, I don't engage. I don't care
Yeah.
what other people think. I just don't engage. And if it's too off the wall for me, you're deleted and you're blocked. And that is the end of it. Because what am I supposed to do if, let's say a mom makes, she sends me something, I post it, and then the first comment on there is like some crazy person going off. Like, it's going to discourage her in her breastfeeding journey. So why would I even keep that on my page? Now, do I need to take her post down? No. I can delete the person who commented, and then I can block them from the page from making any further comments. And I have a very specific guideline on my page in the about section about what is allowed and what's not. So if you're posting hateful, negative comments about a mother who's breastfeeding or who has shared her information personally, even though it's anonymous, I'm not going for it. You're going to get removed from the page. And so, Medela definitely needs to consider this going forward, that if they're going to take a stand, they need to stand on a solid rock,
And
not on some shaky ground, Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that my friends who work in advertisement and all that stuff, they always say you never take down your social media posts, and if you do, you have to immediately say why you did it, and if there's a backlash, you have to address it immediately. And Medela took their sweet time getting back to us, and it wasn't okay. It wasn't acceptable. And they've lost my support. I don't support moms when they ask what kind of pumps to get. I don't say Medela anymore until I see them really trying, donating to Africa or hosting a conference in the Medela name to support us having a change in our community. Until that time, they no longer have my support. But I have to get to work, so I will thank you for having me. You guys have a good rest of your day.
I really appreciate it. You have a good day. All right, so I'm
Bye,
going
ladies.
Just to touch point on what Sissy mentioned, that they need to start being more active in our community and what everyone has mentioned so far. I actually had conversations with them about reaching out to the community. I myself have reached out to lactation consultants to see exactly what we need in our community. I'm not a breastfeeding mother, but I definitely aspire to. Working in advertising, I know that there's a purchase funnel that goes along with anyone who's associating themselves with the brand. And right now, I'm at the bottom of the funnel where I am researching. And this is where they need to reach out to as well. Women who are not moms yet, but are looking to become moms someday. They are researching the products that they're going to have to use. We have a lot of resources at our fingers nowadays that some of us can access and some of us cannot. They need to bridge that gap and bring that around to our community specifically. I love the notion of actually reaching out to Africa, but where we need to focus right now is in our communities and at home. And that's something that I mentioned to them, that from my research with lactation consultants at a hospital that I was actually born at. A friend of mine just had a baby there, and she literally within a day of having her child gave up on breastfeeding. And I reached out to a lactation consultant at UIC hospital, and she actually told me that a lot of it has to do with us not having peer-to-peer counselors. All day you can hear whatever a lactation consultant is telling you, but if the person does not really associate themselves with your cultural group or are actually of your culture, when you're a younger mother or a mother who has a child for the first time, you're not really going to trust or stick with their word. So if Medela stepped up their efforts to actually help with funding of women to become peer-to-peer counselors in our communities, we would have more of a ground to stand on when it comes to teaching other women to breastfeed. And hospitals can actually use that help. A lactation consultant that I spoke to at UIC Hospital said she's the only full-time lactation consultant. And I know more than one baby is born within a hospital within a day, and more than one mom will need that help. And if we can have that resource of people who are voluntarily coming in but who are certified, that would be great. And that's one of the things that I have mentioned to Medela doing my own research. I have noticed that if they could donate a portion or create a scholarship program to where these women could be certified and actually give back to the community in a way that would help us help each other, each one teach one. Yeah. That would actually help us more than posting anything with imagery. And we've had that conversation, and they're definitely looking into it. It's a part of the petition, the updated petition. And hopefully they do call me to the advisory board and I keep this conversation going. I don't think necessarily that being a breastfeeding mom currently is actually, I guess, giving me a view of what we are actually doing right now with the movement. With me being young and wanting to research this and wanting to start early to understand exactly what breastfeeding moms go through, that's going to help me help them.
So did they even make any type of real statement about Black Breastfeeding Week? Did they say that they do support it? What did they say when?
When they linked it to their page and they reached out to me, actually, they have said that this is their second year supporting Black Breastfeeding Week, but of course our history would not go that far back into Facebook and what they've done before. They've actually posted across Twitter, which is totally different user platform experience. That can never be an excuse to why they still have support up. There's definitely a different dynamic when it comes to advertising on Twitter as opposed to Facebook. Facebook, you have your community speaking back to you. Twitter, the bigots can still hide behind their username or not even be seen. They can post to Medela themselves, but we wouldn't see it. And we need to see them standing up for us, which is what I have seen lately with a lot of the comments back and forth, even on their apology. People who are not of color still speaking against it even after it's explained that it's educational, not meant to segregate. Medela has actually reached out to some of those women, and hopefully they've gained a better understanding from the brand itself. Maybe not, but still we have seen within having these conversations, keeping the conversation going and constantly reaching out through whatever platforms we all use, we have seen some women who didn't understand start to understand based on that conversation.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to come right back to you. I want to get Sissy on the phone because I think or Alexis on the phone. Sorry about that. She's gone already. Because I think she's at work and I don't want to keep her too long. Okay. So I'm going to bring up Alexis 1 second. Go ahead and mute yourself, Kira. And I'm going to bring her up here. Hi, good morning, Alexis. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi.
Hi. So you said, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna read what you wrote on the panel on the Facebook event. Your name's Alexis Dallas. You're an asset protection agent for Rite Aid, and you're currently using a Medela pump for your 3-month-old.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So tell me a little bit about your experience with the Medela products, and talk to me a little bit about how this incident has affected you and your support for their company.
Well, like you mentioned, I am a mother who received the Medela pump from WIC. So I understand where you're coming from as far as us being or not being part of their target market, because I didn't actually purchase their product, but it is still a very expensive product that was gifted to me by an organization who was widely respected throughout the country. And you are correct that most women who receive a Medela pump like that will receive it from WIC, and most of us are women of color. So I think they need to do more to reach out to us, because when there's issues with their equipment, we still have to contact them. We have to be in one-on-one communication with them and if we need other attachments or anything like that, we have to go out and purchase them. It doesn't provide everything. They just give us a start. So if they want our continued support, I do believe that they need to include us in their marketing strategy. We don't have to be the main focus, but we need to be a focus. I think breastfeeding women in general should be the focus, but not a cultural thing. But you do have to equally represent everyone if you want their support. And back to what she was saying about there not being enough lactation counselors and peer-to-peer specialists within our culture, that's true, because in the hospital that I gave birth to my baby in, almost all of the nurses on the floor were certified lactation counselors, but all of them were also Caucasian. And they were very supportive to me, but I did come across one who was like almost trying to push formula on me at one point. And had it not been for the fact that her reliever was really, really good, I probably would have given up in the hospital as well.
Okay.
But the lady before her, the nurse before her, and the nurse behind her were both wonderful, and they really, really supported breastfeeding. One of them was pregnant herself and was actually planning on breastfeeding. So that made it easier for me, because this is not my first child. I gave birth to my first child at 19, but I didn't breastfeed him because there wasn't the amount of information available that it is now. Yeah, they said breast is best, but that's all they said. They didn't have the wealth of information to give you on why it's better. And when I actually started getting into researching it with this baby, it was very surprising. And even my mother is ignorant to breastfeeding. She didn't breastfeed any of us, and she's very negative about my choice to feed my child the way I feed my child, because she doesn't know any better. She constantly asks me, well, how long are you going to do it? Until we feel like we're done. And she didn't even know that you could freeze the milk. That's what let me know exactly how uneducated on the situation that she was. And actually my next step is trying to get her into a BENFA meeting with me, because otherwise I'm not going to be around her, because her negativity drives me crazy. So I need to educate her, otherwise we're going to have a very strained relationship.
No, definitely. It's interesting that the previous generation, it's like there's this disconnect, from women who, obviously a lot of people have seen the post that I created about breastfeeding, Black women breastfeeding during slavery, and also wet nursing after slavery was abolished. And it's when you see the fact that we actually breastfed Caucasian babies, there's a there's a mentality, and there's also a stigma within our community in regards to breastfeeding. So it comes down to retraining and re-educating the women who have that disconnect, because their grandmother said, no, that's what they did in slavery. You don't do that anymore. You make a bottle.
Yes. Vanessa, just to chime in, that definitely occurred. My niece Skylar is actually 4 years old now. I was super involved, and from what I heard around my sister, as soon as I mentioned that, okay, this baby was born a month early, she needs that nourishment that only you can provide from breast milk to help her grow. She was 5 pounds 3 ounces. Luckily, she made it by an ounce just across the preemie line. She didn't have to stay in the hospital that long, because her mom immediately started to release milk as soon as she was born, luckily. And I know that's not the case for all women. That wasn't the case with my friend who gave up within a day. She wasn't letting down. She was really stressed out. She didn't really have that support from a lactation consultant that was there in the hospital with her. They more so gave up, I guess you could say, because she kept requesting formula once you didn't immediately let down. That's a lot of the things that I heard in my family too. They were very ignorant to breastfeeding. My mom didn't breastfeed us. She had 4 of us. None of us were breastfed. She didn't really take the time out either to figure out how to do this. She had 3 kids. I don't see how, that's kind of possible with her situation. Everyone's situation is different. But my sister heard a lot of the things that are based from stigma. Your child will be spoiled. Alexis, I don't know a lot of the things you've heard from your family too. I'm pretty sure you've had the same comments. You can never go back to work because they won't want to take any other milk, and it was just ridiculous, a lot of the things that I've heard, and it only made me want to push harder to whip my boob out anytime I can as soon as I have a baby. Like, it will be upfront for all the younger girls in my family to see that this is something that we need to do.
Yes, I agree, because the more is done, the more people who are doing it, the more women of color that are seen doing it, the more it's going to be accepted. Like, I posted a picture of myself breastfeeding my son in the parking lot the other day. I posted it to the Oregon nursing page, and I also posted it to my personal page. And a friend of mine, he responded, was like, wow, well, damn. And I'm like, well, why is that your response? He was like, oh, well, I was just poking fun at you for having your boob out, but I completely, support the Black breastfeeding moms movement. And this is someone I'd never spoken to about breastfeeding or whatever. Me and him had actually not spoken in a while. But the fact that his response immediately was to let me know that he supported the movement was wonderful for me, because a lot of men don't. Women are so sexualized that it's hard for men to kind of understand. Like, even with my husband, he doesn't necessarily understand that my boobs are kind of off limits to you now. And it's not because I'm being funny, but it doesn't feel the same once your child latches onto you. Whatever sexual stimulation you received from your boobs before is not there anymore.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even feel good for you to touch them. So I'm trying to get him to understand that. Like, he supports my breastfeeding because his mom breastfed him and all of his sisters. But he doesn't quite understand just yet that, they're not for you anymore. They're for the baby now. And even though that was a big part of our sexual experience, it's not anymore, and it cannot be until maybe after I stop nursing, because the sensation and the feeling is completely different. Like, you really almost just want to gag when he touches them. Like, and I don't want to have that feeling associated with him when I'm trying to be intimate with him. So it's a process.
So, is this your first baby? I'm going to chime in on that topic really quick, because it's still very much Black breastfeeding, and we need to talk about this. We need to have these discussions. Is this your first baby?
No, it's not. My oldest son is 11, but I didn't breastfeed him. Like I said, I'm very uneducated. I was young. There wasn't the wealth of information out then that there is now. So, if you telling a generation of kids or women that breast is best, and you don't have any evidence to support that, then why are we going to believe you? And that's where I was when I was 18, 19 and had my oldest child.
Can I ask you a quick question, Alexis?
Yes.
You said you didn't have that information up front. What I have seen in hospitals in lower income areas is that formula is readily available within the room. And when I go to a hospital in my neighborhood where I am, that's not really low income, but it's not the richest neighborhood at all. But they have that support of lactation consultants within the hospital, 24/7 lines. Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago. It seems like they have a lot more resources than any other hospitals that I've actually been a part of. I did not see any formula there when my friend actually gave birth to her daughter there. I went to visit and there was nothing even in the room remotely associated with formula, not even the little tiny skinny Similac bottles. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, is that the issue? They have more access to us than they have to women who are not of color and who have those resources?
Well, I'm not going to say yes, but that was the case when I gave birth to my oldest child, who, like I said, is 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have access to that wealth of information. I did have people telling me, like Wake will tell you, well, you know, breast is best, but they couldn't tell me why breast was best. All they would say is that it's best. Okay, but can you tell me why?
Mm-hmm.
And when I gave birth to my son, I gave birth to my youngest baby now. I gave birth to him in the same hospital I gave birth to my oldest child. And there was a wealth of information. They have the kangaroo care posters and everything. All of their nurses are lactation specialists. And there was no formula in the room. And they completely supported you 100%. They asked you what you want to do. And from that point on, they support you. I only had one negative experience while I was in labor with my son. And like I said, that was the midnight nurse who I guess just wanted to shut my child up because he was kind of whiny.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept kind of trying to force formula on me, and I refused it. But the 7 o'clock nurse immediately helped me with my letdown. And because my son latched day 1, but day 2 wouldn't latch back on. And he wouldn't latch for about 3 days. So day 2, the second nurse showed me how to hand express into like a little medicine cup, you know, the cup that they give you your medicine in,
Mm-hmm.
and manually feed the baby that way, so I wouldn't give him a bottle. And it was the best thing anyone could have done for me at that time, because he didn't latch for maybe 2 days after I came home. I continued to try to latch him, but he wouldn't latch. And then eventually he just latched back on.
That's exactly what I heard from my friend too, that it was a first latch, but after the first latch, that's where things got a little crazy because he was frustrated. The milk wasn't coming out. So I think a lot of that time spent that you had with that one nurse who actually took the time out to help you made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it did, because I was really close to giving up. I was frustrated and I wanted to cry. And then when I came home, I went through a similar situation. He was latching, but it didn't seem like he was getting enough, because he would
Mm-hmm.
eat and then stop and just whine at my boob like there was nothing left there. And so I did go through a bit of depression for a moment, but eventually I realized that he was receiving enough once I started getting into the doctor, and I was able to see that he was gaining the weight. So
I think someone just joined and their sound is pretty loud. I'm so sorry.
Hi, Clemente. Thanks for joining us. Can you go ahead and mute yourself? It's at the top of the screen, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. No worries. Don't worry about it at all. Okay. So, really quickly, because my family's starting to get up. They're getting ready to get up and get ready for school, so it's going to get loud up in here. So I just want to give Clemente an opportunity to share, and then we're going to sign off. If you need to run, Kira, I understand. No worries. I just want to give her a chance to sign off or to go ahead and talk since she just jumped on.
Okay, no problem.
Well, I'm just going
to see what she has to say.
Get rid of my video, but I'll still listen.
Okay,
thank you so much, Alexis.
You're welcome.
All right, Clemente, hi. Come on, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I got it. First of all, I had rollers in my head, so I was trying to like undo my rollers because I was like, I didn't want anybody to see me like all out of whack, and I'm still kind of out of whack, and then my kids are running around. So I really want to. I'm sorry. I wanted to jump in because as a mom who I kind of exclusively breastfeed, I don't really use a pump. I was like totally upset about the whole issue when Kara. When I saw her post, I jumped on it. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! This is not. We're not about to do this." And I felt really strongly about it because even though I don't use it as often, I know that especially every Black mother, when you go into our groups and we're talking about breastfeeding, that's the first pump we talk about. Yeah. We're like, okay, the Medela, get the Medela, it's the best one. And for them not to support us and to take down the post and not really monitor it the correct way was very upsetting to me. Yeah, okay. And so I really was like, I wanted to, like, Kara was on it. I didn't even get to it fast enough to like really do anything. And I appreciate her, even not being a mother, having the inkling to understand that it's an important issue. Right. And one thing I did want to talk about, or just kind of throw out there also, with Kara was saying, you know, she kind of doesn't understand how it works as far as like the support and like how like that whole connect kind of jives. I want just to say that there's a lot to be said about how we as African American women are treated in healthcare, and that's where it starts. It's not so much about actually looking to someone and to connecting. I mean, you want to see someone who reflects you as a person, and you connect to that immediately. But there's some kind of disconnect to where some look at you and don't see an educated person. I have that happen to me every time I go to the doctor. Well, previously, because now they know me and they know that's not the case. But they will initially assume that I don't know anything. Right. And actually, I know a lot. And I don't need you to talk down to me. I just need you to give me the information. And that's the problem. They're not giving the information. They're not willing to give that information. And we need that. We, as Black women, we really, really need that information. As much as they think that we don't understand it, just give it to us. Give it to us till we can't, take anymore.
Can I touch on your point? I totally agree with what you said. In speaking to the lactation consultant from the hospital, of course, she was an older, woman who wasn't of color. She immediately spoke to the point of that, the process really starts when you go home. But a girl came back to me who was really into breastfeeding, and I thought she would succeed. When she came back from being at home, she said, no, I just switched to formula, and she didn't give me any other explanation as to why. And I think that has a lot to do with when you go home, you still need that support that you have within the hospital from a woman who isn't of color. It doesn't really matter on the basis of you first learning about breastfeeding what color the woman is, but if you have a woman who is looking like you and who can understand what goes on at home, who just won't immediately judge your, change of heart when you switch to formula because you don't have any other answer, but I just wanted to switch to formula. What I feel like she didn't understand was the part that comes with breastfeeding for a lot of Black women in lower income communities who go home to a lot of people who don't or never have breastfed before. That came up with my sister when my cousins and aunts would mention that you shouldn't do this because ridiculous excuse number one, the kid would be spoiled. And I think Black breastfeeding, Black Women Do Breastfeed, the group on Facebook, has actually reached out to see, I guess, what people are hearing about Black breastfeeding and breastfeeding in general in their communities. And a lot of that stigma actually pops up with women of color as well as the doctors. They think we just give up automatically when we get home. They don't know the situation.
And can I touch on just one quick thing too that I just remembered that really made me want to run to my computer? When we were talking about, when Kara was talking about and Alexis was talking about, you know, how our, and Vanessa, you touched on this too, how our support system at home, our elders, our mothers, our grandmothers, the history behind Black women that breastfeed. I also really want, like, this is like the needle that's been like threading me real, like, in my heart right now, is that I'm starting to believe that a lot of the issues that we had with breastfeeding was a protection. If you go back and you think about how slaves were used as wet nurses, or possibly forced to be wet nurses, I could totally see me back then being very protective and telling my daughter, don't breastfeed, because they're going to come for you. You get what I'm saying? So I'm starting to wholeheartedly believe that's where it started. It started with trying to protect. And it's kind of like that story, and I talked about this in another group, about the roast. You know, my grandmother had a roast, and it was a very small roast, and I never asked her why she only used this roast. And I, as an adult, became, you know, a cooker, and I decided to get the same roast. And then my daughter decided to do the same thing. It was a small roast, but I never asked her why. It wasn't because that's all we could afford. It's only because of what my oven could hold. So it's about questioning, and we never really question the reasons why we don't breastfeed. But I think a lot of that is, a lot of that hits to me the nail on the head. Is that it was possibly a protection, and specifically relating to like the movie Beloved. That was really a hard thing for me. I mean, I can't watch it now as a mom because it just strikes me. But I remember specifically one scene where the mother, she's screaming, she's like, they stole my milk. Can you imagine what that she had to feel, and to know that if she had a daughter, that would possibly happen to her? I would tell my daughter, don't breastfeed.
Right.
You know, and it's just I think we really do. It's going to be hard to kind of dig into the core of it, but I think a lot of that has to do with why we as the community don't really talk about it, and don't really know, you know, the history, the deep history behind not wanting to do it, and how we really, like, that was the forefront of keeping us healthy, keeping us flourished, keeping us nurtured, was our breastfeeding relationship. So that's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Ladies, we've gone over our time, and my kids are getting up, they're starting to make noise, so I don't want to keep anybody. But I just want to say thank you so much. First of all, to Kira, yes, thank you for your dedication to this petition. You honestly, like, inspire me so much. The fact that you're not a mom, it has really, really touched me. And that's the reason that I kind of reached out. I was like, this is amazing. She's not a mom? Like, hold up. I was like, I got to find out what happened and, you know, what was your passion behind it. And so after having an opportunity to really hear your story and hear that you are a mother aspiring to breastfeed, that in itself says that our community is worthy of this support from this company that is a worldwide company. And so I just want to say thank you so much. Continue, keep going. I really hope they put you on the advisory board. Bless you. My son is up now. I really hope they put you on the advisory board. I hope that they invite others to the advisory board, and I just really want to see this go forward, not kind of gas out. I don't know if they're going to continue to keep people updated through their page at all, but I really hope that they do. And if you or they want to continue a conversation like we're doing now, where they can get that support from the community directly, they can join us on a hangout anytime. I can set it up. We can do something to try and make something very productive. And I think the discussion today has been very productive. Nobody has bashed their product. Nobody is saying they don't want to use their product. Obviously, Sissy was saying that she can't support them at this very moment in time, but she said that she would definitely support them if they made a huge step out to actually try and show the support. So, you know,
I definitely understand that too. Like, I don't want to bash anyone for making that choice to not use this product anymore. That's their personal choice, just like it's their personal choice to breastfeed their child. this is definitely something I am going to keep going, and I really want Medela themselves to actually host a hangout and step up on their part. We need them to start. We can always join in and figure out what we can do to help their efforts, but I really want to see them personally do this on their own and figure out the resources. That was the issue with Facebook. They claimed they didn't know and all that. You can't not know something you're putting out there and putting your name on. You have to start this first. And I definitely will stay on them to see that this is going to happen. All of the promises that they mentioned of help in the communities, we're going to stay on them. And I'm definitely going to be reaching out to everyone that I can to make sure that this still goes forward. But thank you guys so much for your support as well. All of the moms out there, Clemente, I am definitely going to add you on Facebook. I saw your request. I'm so sorry. Vanessa had the same issue with trying to get in contact with me. My personal page is personal, so anybody that wants to reach out, I'm just letting you know now that it's going to take me a little bit of time to reach out. Thank you so much, Alexis, as well, for sharing your experience personally with breastfeeding your son for the second time. Women like you speaking up is exactly what we need, as well as you, Clemente. Love hearing your kids in the background. But yes, I definitely have to sign off soon and head to work. So.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and sign off now. And if anyone is trying to get onto the podcast to create any type of new topic, you can email me at normalizebfing@gmail.com. That's the email for the podcast. And I will speak to you all soon. You guys have a wonderful day.
Okay. You too. Bye, Vanessa. Bye, Alexis.